a new independent rear suspension.
Placement of that bag is super critical. How far up and how far down is going to be. Got to make that 49 forward real low. I'm going to try to break the world record of doing the most donuts. What better car than a new Mustang? The shorter the wheelbase, the faster you're going to get around that tight circle.
So we got lower this thing, cold air intake, exhaust, wheels, tires. Now we're gonna wrap this thing up.
Oh man! Guinness, get my plaque ready. I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal. What's happening?
Hey, Bill. How you doing, man?
Good morning.
Hey, I appreciate you guys coming out.
Well, we're glad to be here.
You know, I had this crazy idea of breaking a world record of doing the most donuts in a car, and immediately I think about you guys. Since I was little, I've always had a thing for going fast and doing burnouts and donuts. Recently, I had a real big idea. What would it take to set the world record for doing donuts? It's currently 280 in a row.
Well, you know, Bill, one of the things that we remember so vividly is the project that you did for us about 5 years ago. You built the Boots for Troops truck. You remember that truck?
Oh, for sure.
And it was big, and it was bad, and it made a statement. It positively impacted so many active duty military veterans. We couldn't wait to get with you again and do something else.
You've always helped me out, and of course, I see you going to help me out one more time, right?
And we're glad you thought of us.
You know, I needed a car with a super short wheelbase with a lot of power.
It's the 2023 Ford Mustang GT. It has the 5.0 V8 motor in
Gotta
it.
have it.
Yeah, and manual transmission is what we've got here, so I hope that works for you.
I mean, this is perfect, but you know I'm gonna do a couple things to it, right?
We expected nothing less.
All right, out with it, Bill.
You know, one is the wheel and tire combo. You know, so we're definitely gonna change these to a super light wheel. Ever since I had my driver's license, I'm doing donuts in a car. So over the years, I've gotten pretty good at it. You know, I had a lot of practice in a lot of different cars, and I was like, man, I wonder what the world record is of doing donuts in a car. So a quick internet search, the record right now is like 280, and it's in some other country, and it's been held for the last 10 years or so. What better car to break this record in than a new Mustang? The key to this is going to be the right tire, the right RPM, and the right wheelbase. The shorter the wheelbase, the faster you're going to get around that tight circle. And having that right surface, you know, I can't have rough concrete or rough asphalt, anything like that. It's going to tear the tire up prematurely. We get to 269 revolutions and all of a sudden a tire blows out. It's all over. It's going to be super difficult to hold this car in a tight circle for 300 plus revolutions. I mean, your body's going to get fatigued. You're going to get tired. You're going to get dizzy. There's a lot fighting against this. You know, the more and more people I talk to, the more I talk about it, the more people want to help out. The world record is going to be set right here in Houston, Texas. What's this for? Well, it isn't mine, and it isn't the customer's. Man, I've had this crazy idea for a while. I've always wanted to have a world record. So I've been thinking, I'm going to try to break the world record of doing the most donuts.
Oh, man, that's a good one.
How many is it?
The record right now is like 280, so we're going to go for 300.
Jeez, dude.
Planet Ford was happy enough to help. I told him my crazy idea. You know, I called John Sentner over there. He's like, man, I'd love to help. So he's letting me borrow this brand new Mustang 5.0 6-speed.
That's so cool, dude.
This is going to be key to just getting the RPMs just right, the right tires. All those conditions have to be perfect to have that longevity of getting 300 donuts out of a set of tires. But I don't want to just do it in a stock car.
That's not
going to make the car go cool too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a few things I want to do to it. You know, of course, we got to lower it.
Yeah.
You know, tires are definitely going to be key to making this whole project happen.
You can't run these stock tires. We got to do something.
Definitely not.
Some that don't get too hot and blow apart and
Melt off.
minutes. Yeah.
Because, you know, who's driving?
Yeah, I've been down that road.
Smoke minute.
Not only that, of course, we have to have the cold air intake. We got to get that air in quicker.
That's right.
Of course, we got to get the air out quicker. So we're going to do exhaust also.
Okay.
And just to give it even more horsepower, we're going to throw a spoiler on the back.
Give it a little style, huh?
Yeah, just to give it a little extra, right? We're going to come up with a really cool wrap it. After this record is broken, they're going to be putting it back on their showroom floor where it's going to be looking nice and pretty, and somebody's going to buy this thing. When you walk in the dealership, you know what that car did.
Yeah. And then somebody else will pick this up one day. Maybe they'll set another record.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
They beat my record.
Somebody's out there.
Yeah.
They better come on with it.
That sounds like a challenge.
Yeah. So we got to lower this thing, cold air intake, exhaust, wheels, tires. Got to add the horsepower with the spoiler, right?
Yeah.
And then we're going to wrap this thing up. Well, dude, let's get on so we can start spinning.
Let's do it.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, we got to get rid of all this stock stuff. First thing is we got to get the stance right. So first thing is go ahead and pull the pullovers, get springs out, swap springs, get that nice ride height Bill's looking for, see how it settles. Okay, so got our first strut off right now, and what we're going to be doing this one is going to be replacing the spring on both of them. It's going to be more of a compact spring. It's going to get that performance out of the suspension that we really want. So you can definitely see the difference in these two springs. You know, this is our stock spring. This is our aftermarket spring. You know, this is going to definitely lower the suspension. This one right here is going to be more sturdy. It's just going to be an overall better ride for the car. Just need to put the spring compressors on there, put our cap right back on, do the other side. Okay, so we got all the springs out and these springs in. You can see it's kind of shorting the strut up. Well, that's going to give us a lower ride height right here. So, got the front done. Now go ahead and move on to the back. In the rear, we have independent suspension, so, you know, it's engineered to not have a strut right here. So, in the back right here, we're going to take a lot more stuff apart to go ahead and get that spring out.
We're just going to drop the exhaust right now. That way we can drop our sucker. Yeah. Good job, Jamie. You're so smart. There we go.
Okay, so we got the springs in now. Next thing is go ahead and complete putting our subframe in by putting our bushings in, our aluminum bushings, and our polymer bushings. It's really starting to come together. You know, the front wasn't nothing. The rear was a little bit more involved. But everything's tight. Everything's good.
Seems a little bit more stout now. Like it's going to do what it's supposed to do now.
I've been talking to a lot of drift car drivers about the world record attempt for the most donuts.
Go.
And to get our 23 Mustang to spin right, we're going to need the right amount of power. So not too much, but definitely not too little. So we're going to install a new air intake system.
Basically, your cold air intake is, you know, this is somewhat restricted. So we've got a cold air intake that allows more air to be put into the motor. So more air, more fuel, so we're going to have more exhaust. That's going to make more ponies. So we're going to remove this cover so we can get our plenum off and get our fresh air intake on here. And you can see, just by looking in depth, you have a bigger fresh air inlet than what is stock. So, I mean, you're just getting more air in. This one's restricted by a filter right here. If you look inside of it, I mean, that's two different worlds right there. You know, this is fun. Stock. So, we're going to upgrade.
nice liner. And we can throw this filter on, and that's that.
Now when Bill goes out and does all those donuts, it's gonna have plenty of air, plenty of smoke, plenty of tire burning. That's exactly what he needs.
Uh-oh.
You know what that means.
Yeah.
What are y'all doing? Why are y'all sitting so close together?
It's cold outside.
It's cold.
Hey, on the 49 Ford, we're off to a really good start, but that's all we got is a start right now. Getting started on this.
It's going to be great.
You know, we got it in the shop, built a brand new frame, front to back, all the rectangle tubing. And we're not going to have any flex out of that.
Nice.
You know, mounted the independent rear suspension on the new frame. You know, the customer brought in that old 2020 5.0 Coyote. We got that all mounted up in the new frame. Firewall all cut out. Jamie's built a new firewall for it. Got the cab back from Blast. It was a little better than I thought it was going to be, actually.
Not the cheese grater.
Yeah, it was still a little bit of metal there. So that's where we're at right now, right? You know, the next step is building all the front suspension. So we're going to build new upper, lower control arms. Of course, place the bag in there. Got to make that 49 Ford real low.
That front end needs to be on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Going to need your help with spindles, brakes, get all that coming in.
So with the rear, we got that new independent rear suspension. So how are we going to set that up?
You know, placement of that bag is super critical. How far up and how far down it's going to be so that center shaft doesn't bind up on itself. After that, building the bed totally from scratch, and then we're going to build the bed floor from scratch also. And I want the center of the bed floor to raise up so you can see all those man hours and where they went. So we're going to need a super nice tanks, compressors, all that's going to be exposed. Hell yeah.
Well, I'm just glad that we only have to order the parts. They got to do all the...
No, speaking of that, you need to get back to work.
Man, I know you're going to do it.
I'll attempt to do it.
The 49's an iconic Ford pickup truck. Everybody loves these. A lot of people like the front ends and they like the beds. You know, they're a little bit different than the Chevys. This is a cool looking truck. Got a good platform. They're doing some awesome stuff so far, so this will be a cool one. Alright, so we're going to start on the front suspension now. Got the wheel thrown up here on the transmission stand. I can adjust it just like every other suspension we do. I'm just going to get it up to ride height, make sure I got clearance whenever I turn. It doesn't hit anything. It's centered in the wheel well. See what it looks like when it's going to be laid out on the ground. Right out. Oh, I can even come down some. We got plenty of brackets to roll the wheels. So now I take this half by half and I can attach it here to here. So this bushing sleeve right here to the lower ball joint cup. I'm gonna make me a mock-up lower control arm. So using this, I can get my point, I can get everything that I need to be able to take this to the table. So there's our jiggy jig Jiggersons. We're gonna get jiggy with it. Now we got this tacked into place. I can take some measurements, go clean some pipe, cut it, and bend it, come back here and fit it on. So instead of doing straight pipe or anything like that, we're gonna have to put a step in our control arm. So it's gonna go flat and then kick up. That way whenever it's fully inflated, the bag isn't fully stretched out all the way and it's a little bit more relaxed. And it'll also make this thing ride that much better. I think I'll try it, because I don't know how far I gotta bend. What? Perfect. How did I do that? Some days, man, I wake up and I'm just like, feels good to be a gangster. Template made up for our back plate for the center of our lower control arm. Go give this to Jesse. He'll cut me 2 of these out. While he's doing that, I can start making. Thanks so much, dude.
We got to bend it up?
Yeah. I'm gonna do the exact same thing on my jig to the passenger side, make 2 of them, weld them all out, and then we can start doing all the rest of our suspension work on the truck.
Now that Ryan's finished up the lower control on the 49 Ford, he's moving on to the uppers.
So we got our control arms done. I got a ball joint tacked into the driver's side. Take it over there and mock this up. And then we can get a measurement for our upper control arms. Man, that alternator is in the way, man. Dude, that's gonna be the smallest arm ever. We build a ton of arms here for just about everything, and a lot of the times it doesn't work out. Just like this case right here. I knew these were laying over there. I'd seen them before. They're gonna clear. I just need to take like 2 or 3 inches off of them, which is way easier to take away than it is to add. So I think I might luck out on this one. Only an inch. Not bad. Not bad, Chad. This all traced out, can mirror it, that way I can make 2 of them the same. What you do to one side, you gotta do the other. Got my lines made, I can put that there, tag it straight to this piece. I already got these pieces made for the arms. All I gotta do is just figure that out. Be good to start making our second arm. It's real close, but we gotta make a few changes to the stuff we have here. So the frame, we're gonna have to notch it for all of our lift that we're gonna get. And then the header, we're gonna have to just take out this front tube here and make a 45 and go up straight. So you gotta sacrifice those few little things, a little bit extra work, but it saves a bunch of time using these control arms rather than making a whole new set. And we'd probably still get into that anyway. And then we can start making the upper tabs for the control arms. What I like to do with these shackles here, frame where I think it needs to be just by taking some measurements. Then I can cycle everything as if it were, in motion if it was rolling down the road. It's not rubbing anymore now. Perfect. Alright, so I got my 3 templates. I can use this one for the front too, but these, unfortunately, I'm going to have to make individually for both sides. So I'm going to lay all these out, and I can just knock them all down into smaller pieces. Take it over to the bandsaw and get these ones I can't get with the shear, and then spend some time with a grinder. Give it a good punch there. Buddy old hell. Alright, I think we're ready to tack at that. Alright, so I got my tabs tacked in, mounts are good, the travel's right, just like we did on the mock-up, everything's good side, but I want to build out this whole entire side first, and I'll just take all my templates and then knock every single thing out at one time. So I'm going to start on bag mounts now, have our entire driver's side done.
We've almost finished building out the 23 Ford Mustang for that test run. First, Jamie and Ryan are going to add that new performance exhaust. We'll be able to get more airflow and even more power.
It's going to be loud, raspy, it's going to have cutouts. It's going to be perfect for what we're going to throw at it. It's going to sound awesome, and it'll look good too. This is like one of the best looking exhausts I've ever seen. Make them go down level. That actually looks better like that. One step closer. Burning the tires off this thing. Man, dude.
It's a really nice exhaust for this car. The fins, the
slick,
V-bands, everything is 100%
polished.
awesome on this
man. We just have to mount the wheels and tires. We're done. Look at that.
You know, 555s, man.
So those are them, huh? Apparently these things aren't going to get too hot, huh? We'll see about that.
Man, this thing looks real good. It's got that stance, that aggressive stance Phil always likes. I mean, this thing is ready to hammer.
awesome. And if they're gonna hold up to what he's gonna do to it, man, that's even better. I'm eager to see how it sounds out there.
Yeah.
You wanna take it out?
Yep. At the shop got the 23 Mustang sitting right and looking good, and we added that spoiler. So before we go any farther, I want to see what the car is actually going to do. There's some stipulations about breaking the donut world record. You only have 3 times the length of the car, so we have a super tight circle to stay within. All right, what we need is 24 feet. So I got my son Corbin out here today. We're laying out that circle to see exactly how big that diameter is and how much room I got to stay within. My buddy Marcos did a great job pouring me a super slick piece of concrete, so I think that's going to be critical in this whole journey. We got 100 times around. You down?
Yeah, let's go.
Today I'm going to shoot for 100 just to kind of gauge tire wear, to see where we're at with everything, but I'm definitely going to beat that world record. Is this true?
No.
Alright, you ready? Let's see what's up.
Yeah.
At first, it's super simple to stay in this circle. How many?
31.
It's real cool. Have your son sit beside you doing a lot of donuts. How many?
54.
As time goes on, that tight circle is getting just a little more sticky.
I'm excited to see the tires after this.
Staying in that circle is getting a lot harder the longer it goes. How many?
90.
You have to use more RPMs to get it to stay in that tight circle. Tires are very sticky. I'm dizzy. Are you dizzy? What? Oh, man. Man. I mean, that was 100 times right now. The circle got really sticky, getting those RPMs dialed in. You get a little dizzy in there, and you get a little motion sickness. So, this is going to be quite a challenge to do that 300 times.
At first it was really easy, but towards the end it gets really hard. You get very nauseous during the ride.
And also, I hit one of the cones out there. If this were for real, I'd have to start over. That wouldn't count. I'm going to go back to the shop, figure out a couple things, and when I come back, it's on. Guinness, get my plaque ready. We're most of the way through the front suspension on the 49 Ford. Next up, some bag mounts.
So normally when we set the back brackets up, we like to center everything in the center of the control arm. But the upper control arm is going over here. It's so far over to the right, and that's usually where I put my shock. So I'm not going to have any shock room over here on the right side of this arm. But I also have a tie rod and my steering for my rack over here that's on this side. I want to put a shock in this area somewhere. So I'm going to offset the back breath to this side of the control arm as I can get. That way I got enough room for my shock to miss my rack, to miss the bag, and to miss the tie rod whenever we're turning. So with all that planned, this is how we're going to do it. I've never mounted the shock in front of the bag before. It's always standard. It's just right behind it, off the side of the control arm. Another cool factor is just the offset of the upper control arm. It doesn't have to be centered. Geometry doesn't know anything, and it just knows the points. That's it. So you can do whatever you want, just whatever the application calls for, really. That looks swell. I'm gonna tag it. You know what? I'm gonna assemble all of this first instead of guessing. Nice. I don't like guessing. You know, going around the alternator and missing the headers is going to be beneficial later on for us, and it looks cool, so it's a little bit different than the last one that we've done, and doing something new is always better than doing the same repetition over and over and over. I'm going to go give them to Jesse. I used to work at a pipe shop. And whenever it would rain and thunder like real bad, they would make us shut down. Like we couldn't weld or like operate any machine. Like 20 years before I worked there, they said that there was a real bad thunderstorm and the building like got struck by lightning and probably like $200,000 worth of equipment or something. So the brothers were like, if it ever rains ever again, like we're never gonna work. Alright, cool, so now we have everything built for the driver's side of this truck. Got lower control arms done, upper control arms, shocks, back brackets, everything. It's just always cool being able to, you know, not have to do the same exact thing. We've done thousands of suspensions here and very rarely are two the same. So being that this one had to go around so much stuff, I highly doubt I'll ever have to do this ever again. So that's the cool thing about custom, because it's always something new.
Ford is just a really big build for us. Now we can get on to the rear.
So today we're going to mount rear airbags and the shocks. We can see exactly where our wheel's going to be, where it's fully compressed and when it's at full droop. So we know exactly what we're working with and where everything is going to be whenever everything is said and done. So let's go clean some pipe. We'll talk about it when I come back with the clean pipe. Nah, so I clean this dang old piss out. We're gonna put it right here. This dang old man. Dang old, clean this dang old thing, man. Dang old man. Alright, so after making my template, I decided to make this little piece, and I can make my metal piece just be small instead of going the full width of the control arm. We don't need to take up that whole entire space. We just need this corner of it, and it doesn't need to really be super reinforced and overkilled. So we're gonna make it simple. I can take it over to Jesse and have him cut it out on the table for me. I'm gonna put bends right there in the circle, so just don't cut it for me. All right. Alrighty. 2 of them. Yeah. Thank you. So that's good. We'll use this. This will work out perfect. I'll duplicate it, make 2 of everything, and that way we can just do the other side when it's okay. A lot. Everything's looking good, and we'll be on to the next step after that.
We're finishing up the custom suspension on the 49 Ford, so today is definitely a good day. It's one more thing checked off on that giant checklist. The bed's just beyond repair. So next up, we need to completely build the bed floor and bed from scratch. It's going to take a lot of metal work. Then it's body, paint, and of course, one-of-one interior. You know, we put a lot of sweat equity into ground-up builds like this. But I know once it's done, it's going to be worth every penny and then some.
Oh, yeah. Rear suspension's done now. I think now all the suspension on the whole truck is done. So now we can focus on getting this bed off and getting a new one built and put on and keep on keeping on.
You know, I didn't want to attempt to break the world record for the most donuts in a stock-looking 23 Mustang, so I had to get it wrapped. One thing I learned from the test run, the car just didn't have enough power. So we're going to add a Pro Charger for that extra power that I need.
We added a cold air intake, tried it out, and once the tires started warming up, it wasn't cutting it, thinking it was going to be enough power, but it just wasn't there. So we went ahead, we pulled the cold air intake out. We're going to install a Stage 2 Pro Charger kit. We're going to add about 315 horsepower, so no matter how sticky those tires get, the thing's gonna have so much more power than it has now that he's definitely gonna accomplish the goal for the record. So the first step's gonna be start disassembling everything. We're gonna pull the front bumper cover off to make room for the intercooler, and a couple things off the motor. The coolant reservoir is gonna get changed just to make room for everything, and that's where we're gonna start. We got the expansion tank removed and the sway bar removed so we can make room to get our drive pulley for the Pro Charger installed. So the drive pulley mounts to the factory crankshaft pulley. There's a belt that goes from here to the Pro Charger. This is what drives it. I'm gonna go ahead and install this, and then we're gonna continue on and mount the Pro Charger and get moving along. The bracket for the Pro Charger will be next. These brackets right here get installed to pull the radiator closer to the core support to give us more clearance between the engine and the fans. We're gonna need as much as we can get, that's for sure. This is Pro Charger's P1X. It's a stage 2, pretty good size blower. And essentially all it does is the crankshaft pulley we installed earlier, the belt will route to this and it will drive this, which this will suck air in and create boost and force more air into the motor. And that's where we get the power from. The reason we add oil into it, because there's gears inside this, they're spinning at such a high RPM, they'd heat up without the oil, so the oil keeps them lubricated. Without it, they'd go so far and then just lock up. Now we mount the power. So now we're gonna go ahead and connect the Pro Charger to the motor with the 8-rib belt. Almost there. Got it. So this is our intercooler we're gonna mount right here behind the bumper. So what this does is, as the Pro Charger produces airflow, it travels through the intercooler and air runs through. Cooled air is what gets put into the motor. The cooler the air, the better the motor runs. All right, so now we got our intercooler installed, our Pro Charger's installed, pulleys and belt, everything's good to go there. But now we're gonna start doing all our plumbing, which is our air inlet side and outlet side that goes to the intake. So now our expansion tank is in, which was the last piece of the puzzle for our stage 2 Pro Charger kit. So now we're gonna go ahead and button everything up, radiator cover, front bumper on, and see what kind of power this thing will make, and watch Bill set some records.
So a special thing happens when Bill gets the keys and gets behind the wheel some. You know, some clicks in his head and says, I need to go and see how far this car's gonna go.
Yeah.
We've seen so many donuts out there, so many roller burnouts. Who does that?
Yeah,
Bill Carlton.
Yeah, dude, he buys like a brand new dually and you think he's gonna, baby it, but no, he's out like driving sideways.
Exactly.
Like, you think it's gonna roll over and he's like, nah man, it's good, we're good.
That's where his happy place is, it seems like.
He's got it down. He's been driving for a long time too, so he's learned all the tricks of the trade. But hands down, one of the best drivers I've ever ridden with.
I can say the same exact thing. You know, he's just one of a kind, man.
Yeah.
And getting behind a car with him, man, you can't not smile. I mean, you're gonna be scared, but at the end you're like, oh, that was pretty cool.
It was so much fun. Yeah.
I've already done this before, so we just gotta do it in a circle.
Yes, sir.
You know, I've never tried to set a world record before, never tried to break a record like this. So I'm going to give this one more attempt to make sure everything is 100% right.
We gotta measure 23 and 5/8 all the way around.
See, so now we're gonna be off by an 1/8 inch.
What do you mean?
Because it keeps moving.
You're slow.
Golly, it does not look like a lot of space.
I know, that's what
That
I'm
does
saying
not look
too.
like a lot. 280 times?
I mean, we just did 100 last time.
What was that like?
Very nauseous.
Oh look, here it comes. Oh man, that thing is gorgeous. Oh my goodness. I've seen a stock 5.0. This is definitely. What do y'all think? Oh my goodness.
A lot
This thing is
different than I
gorgeous.
remember.
Yeah, man, we changed it up a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't just have just old stock car if we're gonna attempt a world record, right?
I don't think you could do that in a stock car.
Right, well, we ain't gotta worry about it anymore because it's definitely not stock.
It's not.
Breaking a world record, you can't have a stock car. Of course, we had to hook the car up. The first thing you got to do to make a car look good is getting that stance right. It sets the attitude for the car.
It sounds pretty mean. Once you do the exhaust.
Yeah, it's all new exhaust, all stainless, sounds good, looks good, and it's going to get that exhaust out quick.
Oh, yeah.
That throaty sound, the mean sound, that's exactly what we want. We're going to be doing a lot of circles, so we want it to sound real well too. We had to make it lower, right? So we had to change out the coil springs. With the shorter ones, get that low stance.
It looks so much more aggressive now, too.
And we had to top it off with the wrap.
The wrap is so pretty. Seeing that wrap and everybody involved along that design is going to look incredible when he officially beats a world record.
Trick Motorsports got it all hooked up, looking good.
It looks gorgeous.
Representing my shop and everybody that's helped out. So, of course, the wrap has to be on point. You know, anybody that's going to look up the world record is going to see this car. This is the tires to be able to go around this circle, you know, hopefully like 300 times.
Yeah, exactly.
We're shooting for. Tires are what this competition is going to be all about. This record is going to be based upon, you know, the right tire compound, different tire pressure, keeping it in first gear, trying to get those RPMs as low as possible to not just blowing the tires totally off, smoking them, throwing off too much rubber at one time. We want to minimize that and make those tires last as long as possible.
Since we already did the 100, I really think you could do it. It was pretty easy the first time.
Well, I definitely learned a couple of things since we were out here last. Once we did like 60 or 70 last time, the car had to be floored all the way around. It, you know, it had an air intake on it, but it just needed a little bit more power. I mean, that circle gets a little sticky, you know, once you go around that many times. So Pro Charger stepped up, we gave him a call, and it's got plenty of power right now.
Oh, yeah. So today you're going to try to do 280?
I'm going to beat 280. You know, the record in donuts in a car is 280. So the attempt today is to beat that. You know, next week we're going to do it officially. So I want to give it one more go around just to see how many we can do today, right?
Make sure you can do it.
So Corbin, you with me this time. You guys be the outside counters so we make sure we get this accurate count.
Sounds good.
Man, I see you got the circle set up. It's looking good. Thank you. Y'all good?
Yes, sir.
All right, girl, come on. Of course, the car being set up perfectly is one of the main things to break this record. But I think the most important thing is going to be mental. If you lose focus for 1 second, bam, you're outside of the circle. Contest is over. All right, we'll see what happens.
The longevity of the tires.
That's 60.
You know, going around in all these circles, of course, you're getting dizzy, but you got to stay focused. You can't pay attention to anything around you. You're just paying attention to the cone right in front of you that you're going around on and listening to RPMs. That's pretty much every thought.
And spinning around in the car is no joke. When you're going for that long, I've never been so nauseous in my entire life, but it takes some sort of almost like athletic ability to get you to be able to focus and do donuts for that long. It takes a lot of concentration.
And I'm getting a little ways away.
Everything's going good. It's super smooth, dialed in, till all of a sudden, just that little bit of lapse of concentration. Bumped a cone, knew I hit it. Would have been disqualification if this would have been a real record-breaking attempt. Since I already hit the cone, decided to go ahead and have a little bit of fun with it. now, so there's a delicate balance of how to make this work and how to really break that record. You know, today I learned a valuable lesson of focus, of wonder. Next time we're bringing everybody together, we're gonna make, they got an antique coffee roaster.
This thing's massive right here. I don't know how that's gonna fit in the back of the truck.
So we need to build on the trailer. It's gonna look good, sound good, and it's gonna smell pretty good too. I still get excited when a big build like the 68 GTO comes together.
That's like the coolest set of wheels I've ever seen.
Looks like a blue sky.
No, that's a hog, boys.
We're not looking for fuel efficient. We're looking for power.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
Pretty good shape. The owner's two brothers dropped this car off a while back. You know, it was looking good, in good shape, but you don't really know till all that paint and bodywork's gone and you get it back from blast. Next up, we're going to get it over to the body shop and then paint. Meanwhile, we finished most of the metal work on this ground-up build. Hand making a custom chassis, suspension, and a completely one-of-a-kind engine bay. Frame and suspension just came back from powder coat. So up next, we're going to assemble the rolling chassis and run all those lines. Grab that. Using my head. Got a rear diff for the GTO. Stabbing the pumpkin right now. Thank you very much. Next, we'll put the seals in, then I'll go ahead and slap my axles in, then we'll be ready to install it. One of my favorite parts is actually when everything starts coming together. You start seeing, you know, components come back from powder coat. We have paint going on right now. You get to see that much more, and you start to see something evolve. You get to see exactly how much work it takes to get to this point right here. You know, what it's going to start looking like. Okay, so I got everything installed on my rear end now. I got the pumpkin in, I got my axles in, I got my link bars on. Last thing is, go ahead and put my coilovers on. Once I put my coilovers on, this thing will be ready to roll. Alright, so we got the wheels now for the GTO. Now we have this polished and this raw look. I mean, it kind of really sets it off, especially against this black frame. Man, they're just the wheels to fit this car. What do you think about the steel tones?
I think it's pretty cool, the way it's concave like that.
And also the Nitos, you know, there's gonna be a real sticky tire on here with that big motor. Really like the way the cap covers everything too, it looks seamless. Next thing is we'll be putting the body on this thing soon. When this thing's done, it's gonna be a head turner. You know, the owner of the car wanted a light blue-ish color, so I'm just going to try to pick that perfect color that really is going to make this car stand out amongst. And I think everybody has been to a car show or in a parking lot where they walk by a car that catches their eye. You can tell somebody spent a lot of time and a lot of money on a specific car, but you look at it and go, man, it just, that's cool, but the color's wrong. And that's what we don't want to happen ever. So it takes a certain eye to pick that certain color. So that's the critical stage of a build like this. There's a ton of light blues and all these color chips that we have, man, but I think this one right here is going to fit that GTO perfectly. And it's just got that right little flip of color, small hint of metallic in it. The sun hits this color on that car, people are going to know that, you know, that isn't just any old GTO. There's something special about it.
So we're at my favorite part of every build, and now we got the wheels on, which are awesome. That's like the coolest set of wheels I've ever seen. But before we put the body on, I want to do all the lines, which is way better with not having anything in your way. Most of the chassis that we got brakes and fuel, so do the brakes first, and then I'm going to do the fuel in a bit. Finding your best route to run the lines is always best for maintenance, because, you know, if I ever have to take these apart for any reason, I don't want to be jammed up to where I got to cut or remove a body or whatever. I always like to run down the edges of the frame rails. I think that looks cleanest. Never like to be on top because the body's always so close and I don't want to pinch anything ever. Once I cut the line, I'll be ready to flare. This is called a flaring tool. This is a cheater one. The other one's the old-timey people. Old-timey people, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. They almost look like a little butterfly knife, actually. Like, open it up. A little wing nut on it. This is like like you can't mess it up version. Now watch, I'm gonna mess it up. I'll mess this up. Just so it's not one piece. Cranking the hole. Oh, it's the wrong way. How'd you do that, dude? Just do this, just bend a perfect 180. You know, the stainless line, it takes a little bit more time, but the end result is way better. Oh yeah, you can grab you some rubber line and do it real fast and careless, but with everything else you do, why skimp on this? It's a little bit different every single time, so I like it. It looks pretty good. Alright, so we got all of our brake lines done now. We're ready to drop the motor and trans in this thing and do our fuel lines. Once we get that done, then we can drop the body on this car and we start moving forward on all that good stuff.
What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's going on, Bill? How you doing, man? Greg. Nice to meet you. Rex.
Nice to meet you guys,
nice to meet you.
What y'all doing today, man? Out cruising around the old truck?
All the way from Florida, man.
Oh, man, you didn't drive this from Florida. Come on.
No, it would have taken us about 4 days.
All right.
We only drive at about 35, 40 miles an hour or something like that.
So what year is this?
1931.
31, man. That is something you definitely don't see every day. It looks very well taken care of, man.
This guy right here, man, maintenance team and Rex, they do an awesome job. This truck frame came out of an old barn in Houston. The old Maxwell House plant here in Houston rebuilt it through the plant team in the 80s. They redid it again in the 90s to make it more roadworthy, and now we're kind of bringing it back to where it started to really take it to the next level. So it's kind of neat that it got to come home.
Man, this is real cool. So you want to take this truck and just bring it up to the come,
pay tribute to the heritage, but at the same time, add your touch, your style to modernize it and get people excited about the brand, our truck, have it really stand out at parades and events, and people get excited about it.
Man, I love it. You know, one of the first things we need to do is upgrade the suspension. Those leaf springs and everything look cool, but I know they ride horrible.
And it rides like it doesn't have suspension.
Right. We put modern axle underneath the back with a 4-link and install air suspension on it. So you can put whatever in the back and still have that ride quality and that some adjustability also. You know, in the front, cut all that out, put independent front suspension so we can put modern brakes on it. And what about these wheels and tires? Are you set on these? Or
not at all.
So we can definitely upgrade that, but still give it that vintage look too.
That's exactly what we want.
So let me guess, no power under the hood.
No, I didn't got that.
Let's check it out. It's a little underwhelming for sure. I mean, that's definitely not a factory engine, so what is that?
It's a Cavalier 4-cylinder.
No performance there, right?
No power steering, no AC, probably about 2 horsepower. We're wanting to step this up, man.
So underneath the hood needs a little cup of coffee, get its energy up, right?
Yes,
you got it. I can definitely see why they chose that engine. I mean, it's super tight, confined in here. There's not much room at all, so it would actually fit to not take up some of the footwell inside there. So what's going on with the interior? It looks
really, really, really nice.
Appreciate it. It's just, man, it's tough to drive. Steering wheel's so big, you know, you feel like you're driving a tractor.
One of the most definite things we need is to upgrade that steering column, give you a tilt wheel, make it easier to get in and out of, and of course, you know, AC for sure.
It's hot as a pot of coffee in there. We'd like to be iced latte, you know what I mean?
The interior looks good, but no comfort. I think these trucks are probably made for 4-foot tall people back in the day, but we're gonna do what we do, give them as much room and as much comfort as we can possibly put in this little cube. So what you got going on in the back?
Come check it out. We got some really cool ideas, Bill. We have a roaster, and we would love to be able to take it to events and roast coffee so people can smell it. They can experience how you roast coffee. So if there's some way you can incorporate a roaster into the back of the truck, we just think that'd be next level.
That's a cool project, man. I love getting stuff in like this, especially with the history of the truck, history of the company. I definitely get what you guys are wanting to do.
You got 200 people back home in Florida that just can't wait to see what you can do with it.
And I'm ready to get going on it, man. If you guys are ready, let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
We're ready.
Man, I love projects like this. I love that challenge of taking something old and vintage and making it over the top cool. Most of the time, vehicles like this, people just trying to get them looking as close to factory as possible. They're trying to restore them, make them vintage, or, you know, go the rat rod style. There's definitely not a lot of people that attempt to take an old looking truck and modernize it. So it's challenging to make it still look appealing and not just too gaudy. We're going to take our time to make those right decisions, put those right parts on, and make them a really cool truck.
Man, this is pretty cool, dude. I like this.
It doesn't look bad.
The motor looks really, really clean, or it's just never been driven.
Man, it runs good. I mean, I'm driving around the parking lot. It's not bad at all.
What's up, fellas? Y'all checking it out?
Yeah, man,
this
this
is
is really
little
cool.
bitty old motor in here.
It's a cool truck.
Yeah.
You know, it looks cool cruising in parades and everything now, but they want something a lot cooler.
Why you brought it here?
That's right. We're basically going to leave the outside alone, but they definitely want some upgrades in the engine compartment and underneath on the suspension. The first thing we're going to do is just, I think what would be really cool on this is a diesel.
That's a great idea.
But we're super confined to how much room we have underneath the hood of this, right?
Yeah, there's no room.
So just a 4BT, you know, Cummins 4-cylinder in it would just be really, really cool.
That's going to change this truck dramatically.
For sure. After that, you know, the next thing we got to tackle is suspension. Ripping all this totally out. These old springs, a straight axle, can't have that. They want it to drive good, ride good, so independent front suspension, air on it, of course. We got to have that adjustability. And the same with the back. Ripping out that old axle, new late model, dual wheel axle, disc brakes in the front. Stopping really good, driving good, riding good.
We're not going to keep these wheels and tires, are we?
No. Brand new wheels and tires. A 24-inch dually wheel. I think it'll look real cool on this.
That's going to be sick.
Yeah.
That's going to grab a lot of attention right away.
Absolutely. So when it pulls up, people are just, wow, man, I got to go check this out. And when they're all around it and checking it out, that's when they're going to hit them with the coffee serving in the back. They got an antique coffee roaster they're going to send to us, and we're going to configure that in the back of this. So it's going to look good, sound good, and it's going to smell pretty good too.
Well, I can't wait this thing to get in.
You're not going to want to give it back.
Y'all ready to do it?
Let's do it, man.
When you're talking about a 31 Ford pickup, you're talking about a vehicle that's over 90 years old. Technology has totally changed from then till now. You know, it's more than tearing down a truck. This is a straight up history lesson on how cars used to be built.
Oh, that leaf spring was hitting on it, but man, that thing is real jacked up, huh?
Yeah.
They put a hose clamp over it to keep it all together, look. Damn. I'm surprised that held that long. That's crazy.
Coming out today.
Ready? Yep. We're ready to pull it out now.
Up a little bit. All right. Yeah, pick it up.
lines up, they're perfect. We reuse them. Dude, I got a treasure. If I didn't have gloves on, this would be way easier. Yeah, it was taped to the bottom of it. Congrats, you found the Molus Easter egg. Just wanted you guys to know how much we appreciate y'all taking care of old Max. He was special to us, and we know it will be in good hands. Can't wait to see what you guys do to old Max.
I don't see that often.
Yeah, I never see that, huh?
Right on.
Good?
Yep, yeah. Clear.
Woo! Way more gooder.
Jamie and Ryan did a great job tearing everything out. The next step on this is rebuilding the rear suspension. We're going to build a 4-link rear suspension with an airbag that holds everything up. So first things first, building that part of the suspension is getting the new hanger. And what the hanger does is connect the frame to the rear end of the truck. So all the stopping, starting, all that torque to be super strong. So we're going to build all this out of 1/4-inch material, so we won't have any problems. So I have the plate that bolts onto the frame here, and then we're going to have another plate that goes on the outside, and then we're going to box all this in. This is going to be exposed, so people are going to see this. So I want to spend a little extra time on this to make it look kind of cool and go with the styling of the truck. Let's go give it to Mr. Jesse. Appreciate you.
So now all I'm gonna do is just try to find something that looks similar to this roundness right here, which I found this. I'll use that. I already know this DOM out here, the ID is 2 inch. So I'll just trace that, and that would help me gather everything together and dry it out even faster and be more accurate with it. Everything looks good the way I laid it out, so now I'm just ready to cut it out. So these hangers are going to be different for that Maxwell coffee truck. We're trying to make these more of its time, more ornate, like if it came with the truck, like with their original parts. You know, that way it can just all flow together and look like they rolled out of the factory like that. All right, so I got the hangers done. They're punched and walk them over to Bill so you can put them on the truck.
Block, spacer, go. We cut and cleaned up the hangers for the rear suspension on the 31 Ford. Now it's time to get them in place. Tell you what we'll do. I want to box this in 100% around. I think that'll look the coolest and keep dirt out, all that out. First things first, what I want to do is probably take our 5.5-inch pipe, then we can just cut a piece here, cut a piece here, there, and then just box the sides into it. Boom. It's gonna be too big. Okay, so I got all my pieces cut out, got all my pieces bent. So the next thing is go ahead and start fitting them in this shape. Once I fit them to where I like them, go ahead and tack them in, then I weld them out. So I got them all boxed up, mocked up, everything's tacked together. So I'm going to drop these off at Max's table. They'll be welded out. Think you can burn these in for me real quick? So what I'm doing right now is making a bracket for our gusset on our hanger. Basically, our hanger's bolted on the side of our frame, so what I'm doing is making a little attachment for our gusset to hang underneath the frame so to make our hanger very nice and sturdy. So
So you can see I got my gusset right here on my hanger. You know, this is exactly what this needs to give it the strength, you know, so it can't bend or warp or anything like that. This right here is going to make this extra strong. So now I got my gusset mount bolted up. All I got to do, weld it out. That's it. Strong as can be.
No. We can't get the motor for the GTO in under the door and make everything work. So we're just gonna roll the chassis out of the door. Drop the motor down onto the chassis and then roll it right back onto the lift. Right here, hold up. Hey, you just hold that right there. Coming down. Oh, what you think? A lot heavier now.
Now that's a hog, boys. Oh, quit hogging around, dude.
Hogging around, man.
We got the engine and trans installed on the 68 GTO. Now Ryan's running all the lines.
Alright, so we dropped the motor in here, and now I can run my fuel lines back to the back. Got the regulator mounted, fuel pump, everything's ready to go, so I'm gonna knock that out real quick. When I run the fuel lines, I like to separate them. I like to do a whip line from the motor to the chassis. It's always better to have one solid line instead of having breaks in your line. Less chances of it having a leak, less places to chase for a leak. Alright, so we're at a good point now to get our body all together, get it rolled over here, and put it on the lift and drop it down on the chassis.
Alright, so we got our color for our 68 GTO, the light stellar blue metallic, but I think it's gonna look really good. Basically, I'm mixing a lot of different toners. You don't want to go over or less on some colors because it can mess up your formula. That's why we try to mix the whole gallon, because you know, if we mix little by little here and there, it might come out a little different. What I think was really interesting about this paint, that we add in all this aluminum, that's what's going to give it that really cool metallic look to it. Alright, that's really going to make that color stand out. Alright, the color looks good. We're going to go ahead and apply some sealer. After that, we're going to come back, paint our car, and see how it looks. Or two coats of, we're gonna have it looking Motor City finest. We're gonna go ahead and let it dry overnight, paint the rest of the parts, and we should have a brand new car.
I'll put these wheel dollies under the chassis, and I'm just gonna move the chassis underneath the GTO and marry the two together.
Even though I've been in this game for a long time, I still get excited when a big build like the 68 GTO comes together.
I start cutting it, cut it hard.
Seeing the finished product in my mind is one thing, but seeing it actually come together is when, you know, I definitely get excited. Today's the day when we're putting the chassis and the body together for the first time.
Just make sure I don't hit the motor on the firewall. If it ain't touching now, it ain't gonna hit. Like right there on the edge, so that should be good. Man, good job. We're gonna go right into that bay. Woo. Thank you very much. So we got the GTO back over in this bay. Now it's time to do all the and start rolling through the whole final process of doing all the fun stuff.
This GTO used to be a drag car originally. but it wasn't, he wanted to drive it, wasn't practical. We went ahead and got the LT4 crate motor, and it's a lot of horsepower, but it's just not enough. So we're gonna go ahead and make some changes, change some engine parts, make it come alive, but still be a daily driver, streetable car with some good power under the hood. So we're gonna start by taking off our whole front assembly. A lot of the Chevy stuff, the basics of them are the same back to like the carbureted 350 days. I'm not sure on the LT, but I know on the LS it's up until 2013. You can take a transmission from a 72 Chevy and bolt it right up to it, for the most part. I've been honestly messing with it since I was a kid. I was young. My grandpa was a mechanic, my dad, most of my uncles. So I just kind of always spin around it. It's not really something I chose to do. It's something that I just grew up doing. I still do it, so I don't hate it, I guess. This is an AC compressor. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and pull the crankshaft pulley now. So now that we got our front assembly all torn off, we're gonna start taking off the blowers so we can get to our heads and get those pulled off next. We're gonna go ahead and now take our fuel rails off and fuel lines so we can get these heads pulled off. Just kind of paying attention to how it came apart is one of the main things. Always gotta pay attention to what you're doing, especially if it's a motor you haven't done before. It makes the reassembly a lot easier. Once the heads come off, the motor looks tiny, and the kind of horsepower it makes is even crazier for something so small. We're gonna go ahead and pull our lifter trays out and get our lifters out. And then we're gonna pull our front cover and get our camshaft out. This is the oil pump. And you gotta be careful when pulling these out, because see that right there? That's a bearing. So if you're too rough with it, you can push those bearings out. Now we're done with the disassembly. We're gonna go ahead and get all our mating surfaces cleaned up and then put our heads on it and basically build our motor backwards. This thing's gonna be a beast for sure.
Oh yeah. Jamie, Doc just showed up for the Maxwell house. They sent us over a nice little grinder here, and then that's the roaster that we're gonna be roasting the beans in.
This thing's massive right here. I don't know how that's gonna fit in the back of the truck.
That's what you and Bill are known to do, to make magic happen.
Because Maxwell House is going to use old Max in many events, they wanted a roaster and a grinder in the truck. But what they sent is way too big for the bed. So we need to change things up and build them a trailer. You know, the only thing is there's no hitch, so I guess we got to make it.
So all the machinery is so heavy and big, we're gonna go ahead and put a receiver hitch in here now. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put some C-channel right here on top of the frame. Then we'll have a piece of 4-inch boxed in with the C-channel. Then we'll have the drop down with the slide. Alright, so I got my piece of C-channel here, cut, squared up. Next thing is start cutting this 3x4 into place. This is going to be the end of it where our receiver hitch goes into, so I'm going to miter it in between these pieces of C-channel. So once I get these cut out, I'll go ahead and test fit it. If I know it fits the way I want it to, I'll go ahead and start putting these on the truck.
For the back end of the hitch, we're going to add a receiver tube, so it's going to be super strong. That way they can haul as much coffee as they want.
Bill just lining this up for me, so I'm fixing to cut it right now and get it all welded out. Alright, I got my hitch. It's solid, it's good. Now I'm gonna add these gussets to it. It's gonna reinforce it and make it a lot better and stronger. Now I got my gussets in here in place. Now I'm gonna put it all the way around. It's gonna look good.
We got the custom hitch on the 31 Ford finished. Now we're going to make some side plates that attach to the frame to secure the hitch to the truck.
You know, it's gonna burn, everything's gonna catch on fire. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a plate right here, sandwich this plate between our C channel for our receiver hitch. What I'm gonna do right now is bring it to Jesse. I need 2 of these, man. The holes, I mean, you can make them just a tad bigger, but I need 2 of these out of 3/16.
So I got it all drawn out. It looks good. So now we're just ready to cut it out.
Okay, just got my plates back from Jesse. Everything looks really good. We'll go ahead and test fit them real quick, make sure everything's the way I want it. After that, we'll go ahead and start drilling. All right, now I got my marks. Gonna drill everything in now. I established where my holes are gonna go now from my plate to my frame. So I'm gonna go ahead and punch these real quick, drill them out, bolt them back up, through punch them, take the plate back off, drill the frame, and everything should line up. So you can see the frame and the wooden frame of the, so only thing to do is go ahead and cut it all the way down the middle of our piece that I had Jesse burn out. So then we're gonna go ahead and come back in here with a strip, weld it in, so we'll have a nice little shape to it, contour on each side. So it's almost like a saddle. That's gonna hold it right in place. It's bolted through and through. It's bolted to our drop hitch. That's the way to go.
Now that the side plates are mocked up, we realized the strip connecting the top and the bottom plate just really didn't give us the seamless look we were looking for.
So the top piece wasn't gonna work, and instead of welding a little piece in, I went ahead and remade the top piece and put a bend right in it so it can meet the same angle that I need. You know, problems come up here all the time. Let me rephrase that. Problems happen when you're working on vehicles all the time. You know, you can only think of so much stuff, but you can't ever think of everything. You're gonna have issues, and you just have to adapt and overcome.
When you're making things by hand like we do, most builds don't go exactly how you first thought. Once we realized we needed a trailer for this thing, we had to make a tow hitch. Putting in the new 4BT diesel engine under the hood, and then get to customizing a trailer. Building a custom vehicle is never a straight line path, but I really like the direction we're heading in on this one.
We got our C-channel in, our plates on the side. Last but not least is our receiver hitch right here. We've got it stitched up right now, so the receiver hitch is mocked up.
We stripped the LT4 motor on the 68 GTO. Now it's time to give this thing even more power.
We're gonna go ahead and start with the fun stuff and get all the new, more power parts put in. We're gonna start with the camshaft first, and then we'll get our timing chain in there, set our timing, and then move on from there. It's set up different than the stock to create more horsepower. This one's got higher profiles, the lobe separation is a little different. It's a bigger cam to create more power. The specs on it are set up for a blower motor. Right here is our timing chain and oil pump gear. So what that does is when you put this together, it keeps the motor in time so the valves open when they need to open and not too soon or not too late. So if that piston's at the top and the cam's not timed right, then that's either break or break. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get rid of these factory DOD lifters and go ahead and put our new, just standard LS7 lifters in it. So what the DOD does is allow the computer to shut down 4 cylinders of the motor to make it more fuel efficient, but in this case, we're not looking for fuel efficient, we're looking for power. These are our new heads right here. We got bigger intake valves, exhaust valves. They opened them up and smoothed them out so the airflow will be greater and it'll flow smoother. These bolts right here are actually stronger, like the factory style bolts, or they call them a stretch to yield. So when you're torquing them, the bolts actually stretch out. So when you have boost in a motor, it can cause the head gasket to blow. So with these bolts right here, they don't stretch. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put our new push rods in. They came with our cam kit. These are a different length because the profiles on the cam are different. If these are too long, it's gonna open the valve too much, which could possibly hit the piston and cause catastrophic failure for sure. So it's real important that your push rod length matches your cam setup. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and install our new rocker arms. So the difference between these and the factory ones is it's got a roller on the end of it where it actually pushes the valve straight down, as opposed to these kind of come in and put a side. If you put too much side load on the valve, especially at high RPMs, there's a good chance it'll snap the valve and drop it in the motor. That's the end of that. It's actually starting to look like a motor, a fast motor too. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna spin the motor over a few times just to make sure there's no issues, everything spins freely, and I put some gas in it, it might start like the old motors where you had to spin them. Then we'll go ahead and get all our tin on the outside of it. Put our valley pan on, valve covers on, front cover, and pan on. Just get this motor all closed up and ready to hit the street. So the LT4 was already a great engine, a great platform to start with, but the parts we add are definitely going to increase the horsepower, and the performance is going to be top notch. Especially it'll be a streetable car. That was the nice thing, but still have some power to rip down the road. But it looks good internally and externally, so can't wait to get this thing together and see what it's going to really do. Hi, my name's Matt Lipp. I do a lot of the motor and electrical stuff here at Extensive. I've been doing this now for 20 plus years since I was a kid. Kind of just took stuff apart, figured out how to put it together the wrong way. First, it evolved into what I do now. The thing I like about engine and wiring work is it's always something new. 350 horsepower 15 years ago was impressive, but now we're building stuff that's 1,000, 1,500 horsepower. It keeps going and going with the technology now. Like I always got to make sure I'm on point and keep up with all the new technology, everything that comes out, so I know what it'll take to make the motor better. Now it's lean, mean, and ready to be seen. And the payoff for me is just the self-satisfaction. Like I don't do stuff for other people to say, oh, that's good work. It's more for my pleasure. Like I like to know I took something on that was hard and I accomplished it and made it come together. It just worked in the end. Like that's really what I enjoy doing about the most. Got it.
What's good, Carlos?
Hey, Stephanie, what you doing?
How you doing?
I heard you were coming in.
Yeah, I'm here to check on my dad's 49 Ford.
Well, it's not done yet, but it's a lot further along than what you dropped it off. I mean, when you did, I didn't know if I had to get them tetanus shots or not, but, you know, the guys have done so much work, you know, that custom frame that they put on there, that new independent rear suspension. Well, Bill's out in the body shop right now. There's a GTO that they're just pulling out. Okay. If you want, I could go grab him for you real quick.
No, it's all good. I can go find him and see what's happening outside.
All right. Well, okay. Enjoy.
Good to see you.
All right, you too.
Man, Edgar, it's really starting to look good, man. We finally got the body back on the chassis. We're in a good spot, man.
Yeah, man, we're getting real close to putting this car together. It's gonna look real great, man.
Hi. Nice to see you.
Hey, good to see you. Edgar, you met Stephanie?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Give me just a second.
All right, man.
Hey, thank you for coming in. You know, I want to go over a couple things with your dad's truck. You know, I need you to pick and choose a couple of things, so appreciate you coming down.
Absolutely, but before we do that, what do we got going on here with this timeless beauty?
Man, this is a real cool car. It's a 68 Pontiac GTO. This has been in Two Brothers family for about 40 years. They've had it.
Wow.
We know what this car means to them, so we're definitely going to take our time and make sure every part and piece is 100% right.
Yeah, these old GTOs are super cool. I love old muscle cars.
Yeah, me too.
So which one was worse when I brought the truck in? My dad's truck or this car?
You definitely won on those. A time capsule, pretty much. But they wanted a car that they could just get in, has a whole lot of power, but still drive it wherever they want and look good doing it. So we just tore it all apart. We made a whole new frame from front to back.
So you built the whole frame from scratch?
Every part and piece, every bit of the suspension, I mean, everything that's underneath the car is all handmade.
Wow.
If you're going to be customizing a car to this extent, first thing you got to do is start with a new frame.
So you're not bagging this one?
Nope, they wanted just a static, low look, so it's got coilovers all the way around, so you just get in and go.
Are these the wheels for the finished ride?
Man, it is.
Yeah.
I love the look of them. You know, it's a 20-inch wheel, so it's not too big. You know, being a coilover suspension, you don't have that adjustability, so we can't go too big and have the car too low or you won't be able to turn. So a 20-inch wheel for this, it's perfect. You know, the brothers grew up racing in this car. They had a race engine in it. So the challenge was finding an engine with a whole lot of power, but the reliability that they want to be able to drive it wherever they want. So brand new crate LT4, about 600 plus horsepower in it. You know, it'd definitely do whatever they want to do.
They're going to be fighting over who's driving.
Absolutely. But one other cool thing, when you pop the hood on this, you're not going to see anything but the supercharger. Everything else is all paneled off, so it's sheet metal panels all throughout the engine. You won't see anything.
Right.
So it's going to look really, really cool. When you pop the hood, it's just all body color, all underneath the hood.
Wow, that's going to be really cool. You open up the hood and see all the custom metalwork. I think that's going to look super rad. The color is amazing. It's probably my favorite. It looks like a blue sky.
Well, the original color was blue, but, you know, we had to wake that up a little bit.
Well, this looks amazing. What else do you have to do to it?
Man, we've done a ton of work up to this point, but, I mean, we still got a lot to do. I mean, of course, getting the body all fit and finish, and then taking it over to the interior shop and letting John do his thing. So he's got his hands full with this one for sure.
Looks like it.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to get this thing done. This GTO has been a lot of work for everybody in the shop, but it's looking good. I mean, there's pieces to this car everywhere, but trust me, when you see it all together, everybody's going to be blown away. This is something special for these two brothers. You know, it's been in their family for 40 plus years. They've had it their whole lives. So we really want to for them, and it stands out from any other 68 GTO. You know, with new suspension, new engine, new trans.
That's huge. I wouldn't doubt if it weighed more than their truck itself right now.
We come a long way on the 49 Ford.
Now the fun part. You're going to build a whole new bed from scratch.
Yeah, every bit of it.
We like obstacles.
Yeah. What's next after that?
Man, just everything else.
Perfect.
We build custom trucks. We don't do restorations.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
How you doing?
I'm pretty good, man. What's up?
Alright, I need to get these bent. Got a couple of templates here. We just need these bends here. This one here, if we can get the rolled edge with this length here, 78 inches long.
Okay.
You know, a ground up build for us isn't measured in miles. It's measured in inches.
This is going to be the exact dimensions that you need on this, right?
Correct,
Here,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll get on it right now.
Perfect.
The 49 Ford came to us, a rusted out old truck. We made a ton of progress, inch by inch.
Two of each?
Two of each, yeah.
The bed was just beyond saving. So Ryan's out getting the metal bent for the new bedside of what will be a completely handmade bed. Our shop break isn't long enough to bend them, so we'll get these guys to knock it out perfect.
So I know you're going to be happy. All of those parts that we had on back order finally starting to show up.
So you've been doing something.
Believe it or not, yes, we finally are doing stuff up here. We'll be able to start knocking out some of those older projects that we've been working on. Speaking of projects, I know, how's that coming?
Man, huge job. It was in rough shape when it came in, right? We've done a lot to it. Getting in the shop, getting it tore apart, body off the blast, new firewall put in. We got the whole frame built, independent rear suspension, never done that before. Building the independent front suspension, millionth time doing that. Engine trans is all mounted. Man, we're in good shape. The next big job is the bed itself. So I got Ryan over at ADE, bending the bed panels for it.
You're gonna build a whole new bed from scratch?
Yeah, every bit of it. It was just too far gone. So only thing I need from you is 2 fenders. We're gonna build a bed floor that lifts up so you can see all the framework, all the independent suspension.
The cool thing about working here is it's always something different.
Yeah, man. I mean, people have been customizing these trucks for 75 years now. Getting a little more difficult to come up with something people haven't seen before.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it happen though.
All right, so once the bed's done, what's next after that?
Man, just everything else, right? Blowing it all apart, powder coat, a lot of body work, a lot of paint. And John Burgess, man, he's gotta come with it, make this one stand out on the inside also.
Yeah, I mean, he's gotta tie in whatever you're doing to the outside.
Just got back. Where do you want those bedsides at for the floor?
Man, just stick it right behind the truck. I'll be out there in just a second. We'll start making it. Well, man, make sure you get all that stuff, and I'm gonna get to bed.
You can't.
Ready?
Oh, yeah. Put that other one on top of it. I don't want to walk twice.
Sounds good.
Old and I'm lazy, Dustin.
All right.
We got our bedsides back from the vendor. We got our 4 pieces that we're gonna mate together like that. And once we get all these put together, we'll have 2 bedsides.
Slide it right here, and then we'll slide it down.
Give this another 1/4 inch. We can get some screws and that'll straighten that up a lot.
There you go. You can see there's real wavy on the inside. That's because there's no structure on the inside of this right now. So what we did is make these little channels here. We're going to tack one to the inside of the panel, and we'll put this other panel on and spot weld the other side. That way they sandwich together, and then they have a little bit of structure in here in between the 2 bedsides. And once it's all welded and cleaned up, bodyworked and painted, it'll look like a brand new bedside like we need. Go for it. Lee. We like obstacles.
Yeah.
All right, right there.
Couple of bays over from the 49, we're working on a 31 for Maxwell House. Well, let's slap that sucker on right there. I'd say let's start off by going from the bottom of the crossmember to the top of the frame. And let's get that overall look. So we got 2 classic trucks going on at the same time. And we build custom trucks. We don't do restorations. Having said that, I still want to keep the things that make this a cool old truck.
From this side?
While making custom details that'll make this truck stand out from everyone else. That's pretty dang close.
That's those accurate measurements.
I wouldn't bet against your eye. You're really close. A jump shot, I'll take that bet. I got that.
The 1931 Ford Maxwell House truck came to us as a small project and just grew into something that nobody could have planned for. Did you level this?
I haven't leveled anything yet.
Did different. We're just doing engine and transmission and all the suspension. We still want to retain the original look, but just new suspension, new engine, new trans. Now, just the height we need to come up with. We got everything torn down. We got the rear hangers made, and all that coffee equipment came in, and it's way bigger than I was expecting. There's just not enough space in the back of the truck. We're definitely going to have to build a trailer. We got the trailer hitch built on the back of the truck, and the only thing left is all the rest of it.
The importance of having everything leveled, man, that's where it really starts out You know, this side's nice and tight, and the other side's loose. I've tweaked the frame a little bit, loosened up some pieces, and put a lot of weight on this one corner. You know, when this thing was restored, they just bolted it right back down. They didn't check the square of the frame or anything like that. This right here is the best thing could happen for this truck.
We're going to start with replacing the whole straight axle with independent front suspension. So first things first on that is building the lower part of the frame, which the control arms and everything mount to. Well, that's the whole cross member. It's going to support the weight of the engine and have attaching points for all in the right spot, the right level, the right wheelbase. There's a lot of things you got to figure on when putting this cross member in. We're swapping out the existing power plant for a 4BT Cummins on the 31 Ford. This diesel engine's way bigger than what came stock 93 years ago, but it's going to give old Max a lot more power. So I asked Jamie to get it in, and let's get it mounted.
I'll hit that firewall.
Yeah, right there.
Coming up.
Barely.
How's that? That's pretty workable now. You can see the size of this engine. It's huge. You know, I wouldn't doubt if it weighed more than their truck itself right now. We're going to have to take a few things off of it just to get it shoehorned in here. Once we do that, we can put everything back on, lift the truck up, put the motor on stands, kind of shift around to get it exactly where we want it. So then we start fabbing up some mounts so we can connect it to the frame. Once we do that, this thing ain't gonna move nowhere. This is a lot of motor in this truck. You know, this is a 4BT. These things are known for how much torque they got. It's gonna pull this truck around, no problem. That's 4 anchor points I got now. Everything's tacked up, nice and solid. You know, we got bushings in all 4 of our anchor points. That's our motor mounts right there.
It's wild to look at the original suspension on the 31 Ford. You know, it worked at the time, but compared to the air suspension that we're building now, the ride's just going to be a whole lot smoother. Engineering's come a long way since 1931.
We're going to go ahead and start building lower control arms and the uppers. So I got my jig all square, so my next step is to go ahead and start putting pipes into my makeshift arm. This is just temporary right here to hold my lower ball joint in. I have my angle set the way it is so I can actually tack this on there, pull these off, nothing moves. I know everything's still square. Once those are done, everything's stitched on here. That's gonna be our lower control arms. Okay, so I got the lowers on, everything's welded out, both sides done. Next step is go ahead and start doing the upper control arm.
See what's over the bottom of this thing. And we got a pretty unique situation right here. We're working around a big wheel, a late model spindle. The fender curves not only one way, it curves a lot the other way. So we're really limited on our space and location of all the pivot points. So what we had to do is move the pivot point back way out of the way, out of line with the fender bracket. So we had to make this weird offset control arm. The geometry worked correctly on this car with this big wheel, this big spindle. Yeah! I'm gonna go ahead and weld
this out and then get it mocked up underneath the front end and make sure everything clears. Then we can start playing with our upper control arm mounting point, get that camber right. It's pretty unique to this suspension. It's a little bit backwards from the way we normally work, but you know, that's what we do around here. Roll with the punches. I mean, if there's an obstacle in the way, we work around it, make it work, and that's exactly what we're doing here. You know, the next step on this is building the bag mount itself. So that's basically building a shelf right off of the cross member that holds the airbag and a mount on the bottom of the control arm. So you shoot air into it, it pushes that control arm down, lifts the truck right up.
Okay, so we got our upper bag mount. Everything looks really good on that. The next thing is go ahead and put our shock on. You go mock everything up. Once I mock everything up, I'll make one side, then I'll go ahead and make the other. Weld them out at the same time. That's hot. You know, this is a lot to figure out. Keeping with tradition, old Max right here, we went ahead and kept the stock frame. So it was a little bit of a challenge to go ahead and build the components to this type of frame. But we got everything together and it's looking real good. All right, that's exactly what we wanted. We got our shock extended all the way down, which is gonna be the bottom of our ride height. I'm really happy the way everything turned out. It's gonna ride good. We could turn lock to lock. You know, everything's exactly the way it needs to be.
These old trucks definitely have their own challenges. They're just way different from modern trucks. We're building a new bed for the 49 Ford, but better.
All right, we got our bed sides welded together yesterday. Got them buffed, looking nice. Just had to go ahead and cut some braces, get everything in there so it's roughly set right now. Had to do a little bit of trimming to be able to clear our axles here. Ryan went ahead and rolled a sweet piece of 1x4. That's gonna go ahead and connect the top rails of the bed together. I cut a piece of sheet metal next, and that's gonna go ahead and connect our bed on the inside. Now it's doing something. We went ahead and rolled that as well to match the contour of the cab. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get everything nice and square, true to the truck, and keep on building. So we made this front plate with a brake on the bottom here to keep this rigid. Got our two bed sides tied together, got our sheet metal work done. So next I'm gonna make a piece of tube that's gonna have a roll on it as well. So that's gonna serve as a bed mount for us. And also we'll be able to mount our hinges to there for our bed lid. So I'm gonna trim that down now to fit inside our bed rails. I got our piece of 2x2 in here fitting. That'll make for a really nice stout bed mount and also hinge mount. We're gonna move on to the rear of the bed now. I'm gonna focus on getting our side rail nice and square, just like we did on the front. And then I'm gonna put a piece of tube in here in between the sides of our bed here. And then I'm gonna make some bed mounts that come off the bottom of our frame that go to that tube. So whenever you pick up the top of the bed and look in here, it almost looks like a floating bed. You won't see any mounts. I got it, dude. Freaking heavy. I'll tell you that much. Now the fun part. And then it'll weld to here and here.
Sometimes we get to salvage a bed on an old truck, but the bed on the 49 would and make it a lot cooler. The custom bed sides are looking good so far. Now we need to make room for them fenders.
We gotta trim these fenders down to fit our bed size. These are for a factory bed. Obviously, ours is not a factory bed. See how it looks? See how it fits? We're gonna be making a tailgate. We're gonna put a little bit of structure in this. I'm gonna make the sides out of 1.5" square tubing. We're gonna cope it, weld it onto the side, do all of our grinding and clean up and make it look real nice. And then we can figure out some type of sheet metal design for the center. We're gonna start with these sides here first and just move on from there. Yeah, boy. Now that I got my frame built, it's got a few tacks on it, it's not going anywhere. I'm gonna make the inside just a little bit more stronger than the 18 or the 20, you know. I'm gonna make it come down and flatten and come up again, kind of give it a little bit of depth. So once it gets welded and grinded and buffed and looking good, it's gonna have a lot of character to it, even though it's just a couple pieces of pipe. Oh yeah! Alright, so now that I got my frame all welded up, I got the front piece on here. That one is bent and tacked in for right now, but we need to do this backside here first before we start getting into all the really heavy welding. So we're gonna make this back portion right now. We're not just gonna put a flat panel in here. We're gonna, do a little bead rolled square just to kind of resemble the stock tailgate look. We'll add the square in there. It gives a little bit of structure to the panel itself. And then once it's welded in, obviously it'll be a lot stronger. And it looks much better than just having a flat panel with no characters. So. Ryan got the tailgate built for the 49 Ford. I'm working on making a hinge piece for it. I'm machining down a piece of DOM to slide into the tube he's got the tailgate built out of. And then I'm gonna drill it out with a 13/16 drill bit, which is the size of the hinge that we're gonna use. So it'll make for a really sturdy hinge for the tailgate to be able to swing down on.
The front suspension on the 31 Ford, and now we're moving to the rear. Well, we got all the four link done, we have the new hangers done, the rear end is actually mounted to the truck. I love the new dually wheels, but we got a problem. Putting on these nice new dually wheels, we're coming from a wheel that's that wide to a wheel that's that wide. So the issue is here, you see how far it's thick this bed, but it's got to grow about 10 inches on each side. So we got to disassemble this bed and make the bed wider. In the world of custom, this is the type of thing that happens that keeps us on schedule.
You have these issues pop up all the time. You have to find solutions. It's just what we do. Troubleshooting, fix them, find a way to make things work to cover the wheels so we can have a nice arch. Everything ties in together. Once we do that, we'll put our new bedwood in. Let me number them. Put our stake sides on. It's going to look like came like that. Put D1, so we know driver. And the last one over here, put P, whatever number it is. Let's lift it up so we can get all these rails out. us.
All right.
Wiggle it. Yeah.
Will we get a grinder set up?
Yeah.
Thomas and I got all the bedwood off finally. Now these pieces right here are actually what we're going to extend out on each side. So first thing is break out some grinders, start grinding these rivets. Today we would bolt everything together, weld together, but back then, you know, these rivets, we had to heat these things up, pound them in until they pressed round with a die, and that was a lot of work just to get one of these done. We've come a long way, but it's nice to kind of look back and see how things were done to really appreciate it. Okay, so Thomas and I got all the spines off. You know, you can see where everything's going to go right back. Next step is start putting new spines in this thing.
Bill gave me this cardboard with a little drawing on here. So what I'm going to do now is get all these measurements and just put it all in the computer and cut 13 of these out. Now that we got them all cut out, we're going to bring all the pieces over here and start bending them all. Good? All right, bunch of stuff. All right, got all these bent up, but this is as far as we go. Our brake's not 8 feet long, so we're gonna have to load these up and take them down the street and get them broken. That means my job here is done.
Finished the bed sides and tailgate on the 49 Ford. To get that tailgate opened and closed, we're going to add actuators. So get it open by remote control.
Oh yeah. All right, so we got the bed sides completely welded up and grinded smooth. I'm going to cut these holes out first. This is going to be our access hole for our actuators. Everything for that assembly will be built on the inside of the bed here. Getting that cut out before we get the tailgate over here is necessary, so we'll get that done right now. You need a hand with that or no? You got it? So I've been playing with our actuator over here, trying to find a mounting location on the inside of the bed here. This pin right here will hold the base, and then this piston here will actually go in and out whenever the motor's running, whenever it goes in and out. So we're going to make a mount that will go on the inside of the... Oh my God.
Did it fit in that way?
No, it went in the other way, through the humongous hole.
I thought so.
So this side works perfect. We just tested it right now. Works fine. We're good over here. We're gonna go to the other side and do the exact same thing. We already got half the parts made. We just need to make the other half now. All right, so I got my actuator bolted in. I got everything welded up and everything's down where it needs to be. So we're gonna make a channel that goes around this, that hides all this. Take a couple of measurements, make it out of some sheet metal, make some breaks, make some bends. Try it out on the truck. Oh yeah! And right here we can make a trim piece, that way when you're looking in here, you don't see this void, and to finish off the access hole. Obviously once it's all body worked and painted and it's got everything together, it'll look finished off and it'll look done. So we got our panel made, a little box to cover our actuator body. It's gonna hide all of our wiring, the body itself, keep it out of the element, keep it clean for the most part. It's accessible, you can take it off, that way everything behind there can get painted, the box itself can get painted, and then it can all get installed whenever it's final assemblies. We got our actuator hooked up, we're gonna test the door. Oh, we got power.
Perfect. We come a long way on the 40 49 Ford. The new bed's looking good, almost factory, but with a lot of updates. Next, we're gonna build the floor, and then we'll have all the pieces for the truck. From there, it's body, paint, interior, putting it all together, then it's done. But still a long list, but compared to where it started, we've come a long, 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 long way. Crossmember pieces for the 31 Ford Maxwell House truck are back in the shop. Now we can get to building on this thing.
Foot longer than our original spine. That's going to cover the dually wheel that we've added. First thing is go ahead and start placing these, get them centered. Once I get the two centered, I'm going to clamp two pieces of bar on the sides to make sure everything's square. Then I'll be able to put all my rungs in the middle of it. Once I get my spines exactly where I want them, I'll go ahead and clamp them. Once they're drilled, that's where they're going to stay forever. Dustin, come on over here real quick. Let's clamp it and release it. Pick it up and clamp it back. That's good enough. So you can see I got all the spines in except this last one. I have an obstruction right here in my air tank. So what I'm going to have to do is cut along right along here on these edges. Once I get that cut, I'll be able to clamp it in, make sure everything's square, then I'll be able to start drilling and bolting. Go ahead and go in. Okay, so I got all the rungs lined up. Everything looks pretty. You know, everything's flat, everything's even, square. So next thing is to go ahead and start drilling into our original hardware. Go ahead and start from the back, work my way forward, set it, see what it looks like. All right, so Dustin and I just got done drilling all these spines right here. Everything bolted up just like it came from the factory.
All we're going to do now is put the outer rails that we took off the original bed back onto the new rails. So everything will look the same. We'll just end up with a wider bed to cover those new wheels and tires. Let's get the other side on real quick. It's probably good.
Hey, Dustin, why don't you just grab that side? Jamie, you weld this side.
Once we have this on, the stakes will fit all back in place. Everything retain the original look. The only thing we'll have to do is add new pieces of bedwood. Other than that, it's pretty much a factory style bed.
So what we've done right here is we repurposed our uprights. You know, it actually goes right on the side of the bed like this, and our wood slats go in there. We had to move them since we added onto the bed. So what we did is clean them all up, tack some plates on them. So once we get these back from powder coat, throw some paint on them, bolt them up. All we'll have to do is throw in some longer wood, we'll be good as gold.
I knew we were going to have to make some room for the new Cummins diesel on the 31 Ford. But
you know, we had to cut this out for the front runner kit. Jesse cut us a frame. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and take the excess off here so we can weld the frame on. After I get the frame established, then I can go ahead and start filling back in with my sheet metal and get the design that I want. Okay, so we just got our metal frame in, tacked up. We're going to actually make a vent right there. So we made a quick template of chipboard just to make an outline of what we kind of want to do. It's just a good reference. So I'm going to transfer this to sheet metal. Once I transfer it to sheet metal, bring over bandsaw, cut it out, make some bends, maybe refine it, kind of fit it. Once we get it right how we want it, we'll go ahead and tack that up, start metalworking it. What we're going to do next is go ahead and start blowing this truck apart. Yep. And I'm going to take this cowl off, going to take the fenders off, the cab, everything completely off. Everybody watch everything. Then we'll get the frame down on the ground with the cab up in there on the lift. Then we go ahead and send everything out for powder coat and paint.
build apart. We got the motor out of the chassis. Get this bad boy over to the body shop so they can get it painted. Then we'll get it all back together.
We have the diesel engine from the Maxwell truck. First thing I would need to do is go ahead and base it with the dark gray sealer, which I already did. And then we will go with this color orange, matching some of the orange that's on the truck already, so it'll blend in with everything once it's put back on the frame.
The bedwood for the Maxwell House truck. We're going to get it all prepped. It's really important that you use the same grit. We want everything to be nice and uniform when we apply the stain. So this is really the most important step before applying any type of color to the wood. Maxwell House truck, we use the coffee beans to try to color the stain. So as you can tell, this color is really coming out perfect. And it smells awesome. Let's take a look and see what we got here. Back in the day, teas and coffees were used to naturally color wood, so this will be a really neat experiment. I'm gonna go ahead and add our stain base, and this will just make sure everything gets evened out. Looks like creamer. So I'm gonna add some of our just universal brown colorant to the mixture, so that we have a really nice color. And Bill said he wants this to look really natural, so that's kind of how we're going to keep it. Add a little bit of black just to darken it up some more. All right, this is starting to look really good. So we can go ahead and start putting it on the bedwood. We're going to go in circular motions to make sure it gets into all of the wood grain. It's nice when you try something new and it ends up working out really well, and you cannot beat the smell. This definitely beats the normal smell that we're used to when we're working with stain. All right, everything looks like it's soaked in really well. So next step in the process to really protect this bedwood, we're going to use an exterior clear coat product. It's going to do a great job at locking in the color and keep it well protected. This is a dead flat finish, so there's really no sheen to it. It's going to keep a really natural appearance. When you're applying the clear coat, it's really important that you keep a really nice, even, consistent spray pattern. Same speed, same distance from the substrate. And as you can tell, this product here, it actually looks kind of white when it goes down. That lets me know that I'm actually getting material on the substrate where I need it, but it dries completely clear. So I'm really happy with the look of it. It's gonna be very period correct for this truck. So now we're gonna do a few more coats on the top and bottom. Once everything dries, it'll be ready to go back on old Max. Hey, I'm Lewis. Everybody refers to me here as the wood guy. When Bill needs something done with the wood around here, he gives me a call. All right, man, let's do that. I got into the woodworking business through my family. So I enjoy working on wood because of the family lineage. I really enjoy the restoration and refinish side, seeing things come back to life. I also enjoy being bold and using different techniques that most people don't see, really just making things special and seeing what beauty we can bring out of the natural wood. Probably my favorite project was Rubio's truck when we did the riverbed. That was really cool to be able to utilize epoxies and different techniques to really make that a one-off bed. This is a trade that is constantly evolving, constantly innovating. There's always something to learn. You always want to push yourself to be a better craftsman and show off what you can do, and it's exciting.
Today's one of those really good days at the shop. We're almost done with the truck portion on the 31 Ford.
match that 4BT to the orange of the Maxwell House look.
Bill, I'll grab that side, I'll grab this side.
The custom bed is back from powder coat, and it looks perfect.
All right, now go down. Yeah.
So this Maxwell House build, I thought was just going to be one of our smaller builds. Get it in, get it out, go to the next one. Well, of course, they never, ever work out like this. We've gotten the truck done. It's complete. The next phase of this is building that trailer. So that's why I called in Rex. What's happening, man? Because I got a couple questions. Appreciate you coming in, man. You know, we got all that coffee equipment in. We're about to start building a trailer, and I'd really like your input on placement.
I'm here to help out any way I can.
First-hand knowledge is what we need.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Old Max is looking good. Man, if you don't tell anybody back in Florida, I'd like to show you something.
You gonna let me see it? I can keep a secret.
All right. Jamie, come on. You know, I don't normally do this, but I know he's super excited to see the truck, so I'm gonna let him check it out.
Oh my God. Bill. Woo! Old Max is now the new Max.
Yeah, man.
Look at this thing. They're gonna freak out at Maxwell House, man. Big old wide. Woo! Love it, man. When old Max came out and I saw her again for the first time, unbelievable. Unbelievable. The stance, man, those big 24-inch rims with the coffee cup in the center. They think of everything. They sit down low. Look at that. I love it, man. Killer.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, that's the first time I'm seeing it out of the shop too, and it looks good.
It does. Man, it's incredible, man. It looks good.
This was a fun project for sure. Always you think, oh, that's a quick, easy, and no. Never works that way. We got it in the shop, just stripped old Max down and started working on suspension. You know, built independent front suspension, got rid of that old straight axle in the front, new 4-link in the back, got rid of the old leaf springs, put a 4-link suspension on air.
Man, it's sitting fat. It looks great.
1-ton axle in it, new dual rear wheels. Awesome. Once we did that, oh man, the bed's too skinny.
Man.
I mean, the wheels stuck out that far past the bed, so we had to make the bed wider.
It looks good. I love the color of the wood too.
Well, there's a little something to that. We stained it with coffee.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Even with that wider bed, I mean, there's still nowhere near enough room to do what you guys wanted to do in the bed. So the trailer.
So I went ahead and made that hitch recessed into the frame so everything's tied down anchor. I mean, you could haul a coffee roaster if you wanted to, you know?
I love what they did with the truck. It couldn't be any better. It's going to be tough keeping a secret. This thing is very cool. Woo-hoo! Boy, you got a lot of engine packed in that little thing.
Yes, man. That old 4-cylinder was in there, you know, it even took up a lot of room, but, you know, putting that Cummins with the Allison transmission, we had to make a whole lot of room, man.
That's a big motor.
It took quite a while to come up with that configuration where it all fit right.
Looks tight.
Yeah.
But it looks tight, you know what I
mean? We decided to tie it in with the Maxwell House logo and paint it orange, so you get some color under the hood too.
Dude, it goes perfect. It looks
pops,
good.
Right?
It really pops. Yeah, it looks great.
Man, I knew this truck was going to look better from the beginning, but I didn't know it was going to look this good. Everybody that worked on it in the shop, they get back and look at it now it's complete, they're all just blown away also. This truck turned out very, very, very good. I hope all you guys out there are going to be super happy with it, man.
They're going to be blown away, Bill. There's no doubt they're going to freak out.
You know, we're just about to go to the next step on it and go pick what you have, man. I'm glad you're here. I need your help with that, so if you don't mind.